Prince Christian Victor is one of Queen Victoria's lesser-known grandsons, but is nonetheless quite remarkable for a variety of reasons. He was the eldest son of Queen Victoria's third daughter, Helena, known as Lenchen, and her husband, Prince Christian of Schleswig-Holstein. Unlike her elder sisters, Lenchen remained in England after her marriage, and her first child, Christian Victor, was born in the spring of 1867 and raised in Cumberland Lodge, on the Windsor estate. Known always to his family as Christle, or Kiki, he was a fine, healthy boy, and when he was 2 years old, Queen Victoria remarked, "Nothing can beat Lenchen's boy, who one really sees grow daily." Over the next few years she was astonished by his healthy appearance and the splendid fellow's rapid growth. She was still more impressed by his excellent behaviour and that of his younger brother, Abby. Raised with a lack of pretension, the boys and their 2 sisters, Thora and Mary-Louise, enjoyed the simple pleasures of picnics and pony rides around Virginia Water. Spending a good deal of time outdoors in the beautiful gardens around Cumberland Lodge, the boys followed their father's passion for gardening and riding, and learned to play cricket by participating in matches organised by a sports-loving footman. From their mother, who was an excellent pianist, they gained an appreciation of music and learned to play the violin and piano, and both enjoyed theatrical performances, often appearing in plays to entertain their parents and guests. Like her elder sisters, Lenchen had a particular interest in nursing, and she encouraged her children to accompany her on hospital visits, and to assist her in preparations for the care of wounded soldiers. From an early age, Christle showed himself to be a particular compassionate child, with the keenest interest in everything to do with the care of the sick, as well as of wounded horses. Following the Queen's seasonal migrations between Windsor, Balmoral, and the Isle of Wight, the boys enjoyed stalking and trekking in the Scottish mountains, and playing in the toy fort created by their uncles at Osborne. There they developed a fascination with the military, which in Christle's case was so pronounced that for his 5th birthday his grandmother presented him with the uniform of the Scotch Fusiliers. Although nannies and tutors were appointed, Lenchen herself taught Christle to read and write, while Christian taught him German by recounting fairy tales. When Christle was 9 years old, his parents believed he would benefit from the company of his peers, and arranged for him to join a class of 21 pupils at the recently established Lambrook Preparatory School in Berkshire. Robert Burnside, the headmaster and founder of the school, was so impressed by his royal pupil that he tended to show favouritism to him, which, although it did not affect his relationship with his peers, left him, according to Lady Frederick Cavendish, terribly ill-grounded and inattentive. His grandmother, however, was so impressed by Burnside that he was invited to Scotland when the family was staying at Balmoral, so that Christle could stay with him in a house on the estate and continue his lessons. From Lambrook, Christle progressed to Wellington College, where, at his parents' insistence, he was to be given no preferential treatment except that he must never be flogged. Despite his tutor's consternation at this stipulation, it had no detrimental effect on Christle, for he progressed well in his studies, enjoyed the camaraderie of his fellow students, and again excelled on the cricket pitch, captaining the first 11, and making such an impression that to this day the Prince Christian Victor Prize is awarded to the most competent bowler. After leaving Wellington College, he progressed to Magdalen College, Oxford, where he obtained a Master of Arts degree, and again displayed his skills on the cricket pitch. Had he not been a prince, he could certainly have made a career as a sportsman, but cricket was merely a pastime for him, while military service was a duty to which he applied himself with great diligence. Having trained at the Royal Military College at Sandhurst, he was commissioned as a lieutenant in the 60th King's Royal Rifle Corps in August 1888. Within 2 years he had been promoted to captain, and after a period of service at Aldershot, he was posted to India at the age of 24. He took part in the Black Mountain or Hazara expedition, serving on the front line, and the Queen was delighted to hear many reports of her grandson's courage and popularity with his men. When, however, he came home on leave, he modestly dismissed her compliments, playing down his own role to praise instead the courage of his wounded Indian comrades, whose stoical serenity in the face of great pain never ceased to astound him. After a brief holiday in England for the wedding of his sister Marie-Louise, Christle returned to India to participate in further expeditions along the north-west frontier, and was regularly mentioned in dispatches and earned promotions and honours for his courage and diligence. In 1896 he took part in the Ashanti expedition, and he had become so accustomed to adapting to foreign climates that although he contracted malaria, he quickly recovered and was able to resume his command again, being mentioned in dispatches and earning the Ashanti Star. Recurrences of the illness did not prevent him from continuing his military career or experiencing numerous adventures, as on the occasion when his gunboat was sunk and he had to swim some distance to the shore, or when, at Colenso, he narrowly escaped death when a bullet passed through his wallet. In 1898 he served in the Sudan with Lord Kitchener, and participated in the battles of Omdurman and Khartoum, and the following year, after almost a decade of active service in some of the most dangerous parts of the Empire, he was offered a more sedentary position at the Staff College at Sandhurst. He had hardly had time to settle into the post when the Second Boer War broke out, and as he immediately volunteered for active service, he was posted to South Africa as a staff officer with the 2nd Infantry Brigade. He set sail on the 6th of October 1899, and arrived at the Cape almost 3 weeks later, keeping his mother and grandmother informed by telegram of his progress. For almost a year he was actively involved in some of the most ferocious battles, including Spion Kop, where the British suffered over 1,000 casualties, and, according to the war correspondent Winston Churchill, corpses mutilated by shells and shrapnel were lying everywhere. Between his assignments, however, he did manage to find time to indulge in his favourite sport, cricket. In early October 1900 his period of service was drawing to an end, and his commanding officer, Field Marshal Roberts, was about to recommend him for further gallantry awards. Already plans had been made for him to return home, when he was struck by a recurrence of malaria. Within a week enteric fever developed, but after a few days he appeared to be recovering, and wrote home to tell his family that the worst was over. Hardly had his letter been sent when he suffered a relapse and sank into a coma. 3 days later, on the 29th of October 1900, having come safely through so many battles and adventures, Christle died of enteric fever at the age of 33. His early death, wrote Roberts, is a real loss to the army. On the 1st of November he was buried in Pretoria with full military honours. His coffin was carried by no fewer than 6 generals, including Robert Baden-Powell, the future founder of the Boy Scouts, a movement of which Christle would undoubtedly have approved. The news was devastating for his siblings and parents, and it was left to his sister Thora to break the news to the Queen, whose first thoughts, despite her own grief, were for his fellow officers. She had already agreed to open the Marble Arch for a parade of the returning soldiers, and not wishing to dampen their rejoicing, she asked that the news of Christle's death be kept secret until the procession was over. A bronze statue of the prince was commissioned, which still stands outside the north gate of Windsor Castle. If you wish to read more about Christle, or any of Queen Victoria's grandsons, do take a look at my book, Queen Victoria's Grandsons, available in Kindle and paperback format.